What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Wayne and I'm still an alcoholic. This is part 4 of my story. My life is a train wreck. I want to thank everybody who subscribed, and I appreciate anyone who's thinking about subscribing, because this channel may have something that could benefit you and what you're going through in your life. We ended with last time me talking about going to my substance abuse counselor. I had failed a test that determined how much of a carbohydrate deficiency that my blood had, and that would determine if I had drank within a period of time prior to coming to this meeting. Well, I failed that, and I failed it, and I had to do it around my superiors, which was quite embarrassing, and it added to my insecurities in life, as well as it compounded a whole bunch of problems that were going to come along in the future. There was a lot of things that led up to that point, and you could see those in the videos 1 through 3 of My Life as a Train Wreck, and I'll put that card above so you can check it out. Before I dive into it, I wanted to talk about some things that recently I've been hearing on Instagram and Reddit particularly, that kind of hinted around, you know, I appear sometimes quite insecure. Well, that is true, because, you know, a lot of things contributed to me being insecure in my life, and I could have everything in the world, everything could be going perfect, and still I feel insecure. Well, this leads me to this. So I had failed this test and ready to go on this mission to Kosovo, and my superiors always came up to me and they always asked, do I feel okay? Do I feel like I'm gonna drink? Do I feel like this might be too much for me? And on and on and on, all these questions of them tiptoeing around the fact that I was an alcoholic. That made me insecure, and that made me feel like I didn't have much to offer, and that the only thing they could focus on is the fact that I was an alcoholic. That's true, folks, and I am an alcoholic, and they had every right to be concerned, because I had proven that I couldn't be trusted enough to just stay sober long enough to take this carbohydrate deficiency test. I can never say that in a full thing, so from this point on, I'm gonna just say CDT. I knew for a fact that when I got done this mission and I got back from it, I was gonna have to take another lab test, another blood test, and my CDT was gonna be pulled again. I was a little bit nervous, to be honest, going on this mission, and I wasn't so sure that I could trust myself to the point of, you know, not drinking and everything else. And my family was also. I had guaranteed them, I told them, and I promised them, and like before, all those promises were falling on deaf ears, and I had to be conscious about where I was going and who I was going with, so that I would avoid those triggers and those circumstances to which I might drink, I don't know. And I did that. I did that with diligence and everything else, and I stayed sober the entire time. I was instructing over there, and I had to do 2 cycles back to back, which is 2 classes of people, and I had to do it with a clear head and be able to focus on the things that I needed to in order to get through this mission. I did that. I was successful. But the whole time, every time I would talk to my wife, or every time I would talk to my superiors back in, you know, Germany and everything else, they would always ask me, did I drink? Am I sober? And on, and this just drove me back crazy, to be honest. And it almost drove me to the point where I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna drink. But then the other part of me that had been sober this long came out and said, look man, if you drink, if you put that bottle to your lips, and that's like putting a gun to my head, if you put that bottle to your lips, you are going right back down that rabbit hole. And I refer to it a lot like that, and it is a rabbit hole, because you never know where it's going to go. There are so many tunnels and so many variables that are unknown. If I drink, I'm probably not coming back, and that's just the reality of it. After I got done this instructing bit, and I went back to my organization, and I was sober and everything else, people still had doubts, and you could see it in their faces every day that I showed up, because they were stuck on the fact that I was an alcoholic. And I don't know if a normal person can understand that, you know, we're not alien alcoholics and addicts. We're not alien. We're not some person to be like weary of and everything else. We just have a different vulnerability in life than they do. And, you know, in my opinion, you know, normal people have their vices and everything else, and they also have their own struggles and tribulations that they don't think anyone else will understand. And that's really where that is for me. Moving on, you know, I did a lot of soul searching when I was in Kosovo, and I did a lot of self-reflection, and I did a lot of, you know, step 4 of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is continued to take personal inventory, or as you were, conducted a personal moral inventory, you know, fearless going into it and analyzing it for what my roles and my parts in what went right, what went wrong, how did I contribute to it, and on and on and on and on and on. Back to the Reddit thing real quick. Insecurities dwell within everybody, and it could be an insecurity of if you're physically fit enough to do something, or if you are compassionate enough to other people. Are you afraid of things? And a whole laundry list of factors that contribute to being insecure and, you know, not being able to accept your limitations for what they are. And sometimes that comes out when we speak, when we look at people, when we have conversations, and even when I shoot videos like this, you know, I can either be secure or insecure about what I'm saying. And that's just really, you know, part of being human. It's the human concept, and it's the human nature, and, you know, it is what we are. And so is alcoholism and addiction. And I bounce to that again because that's what this is. And these videos are for alcoholics and addicts, or people who are just struggling in general and looking for ways to be a little more resilient in their lives, and a little bit of strength and hope from someone else sharing their experiences can help do that. As I evolved in my recovery, and as I am continually to recover, but as I evolve in my recovery, and as, you know, my sobriety becomes a main factor, a lot of things change, and they have to change in order to maintain that. I have to be wary of the people I'm around. I have to be wary about, you know, the things I put myself into, and I have to be able to say, is this going to be good for me? Is this going to benefit me? Or is this going to trigger me in some way that I have to be conscious of? So I went back to the organization and everything else, and I continued to instruct because I was also beginning to retire at the same time from the United States Army, and I had to task with that along with still being an instructor, which was kind of difficult at times. And also I had to go to meetings, and I had to, you know, go see my Army substance abuse counselor all the time, and she always thought that I was telling a lie because I told her a huge significant lie that almost got us both grinded up. And I'm glad it didn't. And yeah, I'm kind of rambling about that, so I'm just gonna skip ahead. So there I was, getting ready to retire and everything else, and I was going to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings based off of the fact that I had failed that CDT test way before, and I still had to go. When it came time to get released from the program, I was generally scared, and you know, Alcoholics Anonymous was becoming bigger and bigger in my life, and the principles and suggested steps and everything else were becoming my lifestyle. And I really felt uncomfortable when I would miss meetings and everything else. And not every time I shared, and not every time I, you know, offered up something that was truly profound and was valuable to somebody. But I was there, and I was able to listen to other people, and I was able to take from them. And, you know, for those who don't do the AA thing, I got it, or the NA. But for me, that was becoming my livelihood. And I wasn't getting addicted to it, because you can get addicted to programming, and you can get addicted to, you know, a certain structure. But I was trying to find my flexibility within that, not flexibility within the suggested steps and the principles set down, but in balancing how AA was a part of my life. And this, honestly, this YouTube channel became part of that, and it still is. And I hope that it is valuable for some of you out there. And if you're looking for, more pitfall and everything else, I don't have any for you, because my life started to take off in a way that I couldn't imagine. As I began to retire, I got a little bit nervous about coming out of the uniform and everything else. And I also got a little bit apprehensive about leaving my support within the Army Substance Abuse Program, because those groups were invaluable, and I felt like my experience was helping somebody else there, and theirs were definitely helping me. But I felt like me being an older person and going through a couple decades of this insanity called alcoholism could definitely benefit some of the younger people. I made some good friends there and everything else. And when I was getting separated from that, and I was completing all the requirements of the Army Substance Abuse Program, I felt like I was losing a part of myself. And that was the same way that it was coming out of the uniform, is I felt like I was being detached from the only things I've known in life. And my divorce with alcohol was actually quite similar, believe it or not. That divorce was a little bit harder than the separation from these other groups, but still had its similarities. So I asked the counselor, I said, look, Sheila, let me just come to the groups and, just be a part of it, sit, listen, and maybe share some things about myself. And she told me that I couldn't do that, that I was not allowed to be a part of that group, because that was their privacy, and that was the people who are enrolled, that was their entitlement to have that protection without a bystander being there. Because I was no longer part of the program, that meant that I couldn't go to the little group sessions. And I was a bit thrown off by that, because I had been doing this for years, and you're only supposed to do it for 1 year. But I was fortunate enough and blessed by my higher power, and if that's not your thing either, I had the privilege to actually be there for a couple years and be able to benefit from that. So as I was going through these two separations, I was also going into an unknown, and I was going to be a civilian. Whew, little did I know, being a civilian is way harder than having a structured life for 20 years. In the Army, I knew what I was going to do, as far as I wake up, I do PT, I go to my job, I perform, I do my job, I gain leadership skills, I apply those leadership skills, I execute, I go home, and I repeat and rinse and do it again. And that was for 20 years. My rent was paid, my food was paid, my health was paid, and my dental was paid. None of that I had to worry about. All I had to worry about was keeping myself in check long enough to be able to perform the task at hand. And sometimes I failed that, sometimes I didn't. But leaving that and becoming a civilian was totally bizarre to me, and it was totally foreign. And when I got into the workforce, I was just blown away. There were zero standards, so it seems. I mean, there were expectations and there was guidelines and everything else, but there was no standard to where somebody said, if you're not here, you're fired today. If you're not here, you're going to do 3 essays and possibly face the Uniform Code of Military Justice and get an R-15 and all those things. Nope. It was, did you punch in? Cool. Go to work. All right, make sure you swipe out. That's it. Nobody else cared about you beyond the point where you swipe your time card in and you swipe your time card out. After that, you're doing what you're doing. Nobody's bugging you. Nobody's calling you. Your phone's not blowing up. There are no expectations. There's no umbrella that you're under. It's just you. And that was the hardest part, is that it was just me. And also that was a real realization when it occurred to me, nobody is going to hold me accountable if I go have a drink. Not one single person. almost the entire time that I've been living sober, I have not had one person from the United States Army call me and say, "Are you sober today? Did you do what you said you were going to do? Did you do PT? Did you do this? Did you do that?" Not one single person. Bizarre. So for almost 5 years of being a civilian and being on my own and being accountable only to myself and my higher power, I have remained sober and I have not had one drop of alcohol at all. And I feel that that's only because of the obsession of alcohol being lifted and allowing me to thrive in my life and to enjoy the better things and have the better quality and have the better lifestyle than I had before. Because I'm telling you what, if you had seen me at the height of my drinking history, you would have said, "This dude is doomed." You might have thought, "This dude is not gonna make it another week. He's gonna die. He's gonna have liver failure, and he's gonna convulse, and he's gonna go into DTs, and he's gonna die, and he's gonna die alone." That's what you might have thought. But I'm fortunate. My higher power has allowed me the strength and courage to have discussions with you every single day almost, and via Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, phone calls, all sorts of things, all sorts of mediums, and my wife and my son and my father-in-law and mother-in-law in my corner to support me through my sobriety, my life in sobriety, and my journey in recovery. With that being said, folks, I salute you, and I don't think I ended it well. And if you're on day one of recovery, I got your back. I'm in your corner. Call me if you need me. Hit me up on Instagram, Twitter, or Reddit, and I will definitely shoot you my phone number if it's necessary, and I will definitely communicate with you and help you through anything I can, and hell, maybe just share some experiences you haven't heard on this channel before. I don't know, and just listen to you. That's what I'm here for. I'm a sounding board, and I am an advocate for recovery and sobriety, and I respect every single person on this platform who provide the same service to anonymous people like you, because it is invaluable to the one person that says, "I'm doing this alone." And damn it, you're not. I'm Wayne. This is one sober to another. I respect the hell out of you folks, and guess what? I am going to do another one. I'm going to see you in the next one. Have a good day. Bye-bye.